Today, we talked about the birth of Aileeah's first baby and how awesome it was and how beautiful an experience it was. She did her very first birth at home. So we hope you guys enjoy this story. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Under the Sun podcast. I'm Aileeah.
And I'm Irene. Grab a cup of coffee and your comfiest sweats and join us every Monday as two best friends discuss everything from raising free-range gremlins to business and really everything under the sun.
Let's get started, and thanks for being here. Yeah, welcome back to our vacation.
Nobody look.
Wow, it started quickly.
Twist.
Well, I also have lopsided boobs right now because I need to nurse my baby, and my right side's way bigger than my left. Don't look at it. Don't look close, you creeps. But yeah, I'm definitely wearing Irene's shirt. She brought an extra in case we recorded 2 episodes back to back, which we will. We might just switch shirts. I would totally do. Except for, here's the thing. I got a lot of things going on. I just really want a natural shampoo. Okay, join me in my bullying of making Irene start a natural product line of like shampoo, conditioners, mousses, all the things. But she wants it to work, obviously.
I'll do it if it works, but I also can't be the guinea pig because I just can't.
You're just like, my beautiful hair.
It's finally not dead because I keep only bleaching the bottom part out. So if this shrivels, like whatever, the majority of it can just cover it. But it has to work because I've tried a handful and then my hair feels like shredded wheat.
I know.
I'm allergic to wheat, so.
So I was trying to I was like, okay, trying to, cut costs, I am trying to be more self-sustained and make my own things. Listen, the Castile soap for hair shampoo is not it.
Horrible.
Let me tell you, it is not it. And I did it twice. I know that's probably rushing it, but it made my hair feel terrible.
What brand of Castile soap did you?
One I don't condone, but
I would rather put polyethylene or whatever that thing is than buy from that guy.
Yeah, but I already had it.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't go buy it. I already had it. It was on my shelf.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not great. But so I came in and listen, I did not navigate my time well this afternoon. I had to be out of my house because our AC guys were rebuilding and my daughter just kept being like, hi, and kind of bothering them. And I could just tell,
you haven't had AC since you moved in to the house.
No, we haven't had AC. So what a blessing. We're getting AC and I'm really excited about it. It is a fixer-upper. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that. It's like a fixer-upper. Yeah. And so we're getting AC. That's great. So I had to be scarce from the house. Well, my phone died. And so I lost track of time. And then I was like, oh, what a great day. Then I was like, oh my God, we're recording the podcast and I look like a homeless person. And I'm currently detoxing my armpits because I accidentally used the wrong deodorant. I used Dave's deodorant and it totally throws off your pH. In case you didn't know, someone else's pH throws off your pH and it can make you stinkier.
I even saw an Instagram by someone who is, I don't know if she's a detox or a product person, but she said the reason your natural deodorant isn't working is if you're like us and don't shower every day, even your own bacteria from yesterday can affect. So if it works great the first time and then the next day you're like, why doesn't it work anymore? It's probably just your own because I'm not going to maybe I'll baby wipe my pits on the second day, but
even the baby wipe can affect your pH.
That's true.
So from your mouth to your rectum, you are all like a microbiome. From the inside and the outside, you are a microbiome. So I've just been trying to adjust some things. I want to be more natural and my pits are just stanky, y'all. I'm taking the shirt home of yours and I'm washing it. We can't.
I would also switch it. I don't care.
We should. And then you should be like, we're stinky. But here's the thing. I'm doing we can link it in our Amazon storefront. Yeah. What I'm just doing bentonite clay and apple cider vinegar. And
you just stinks, but it works.
It stinks, but for 2 or 3 days, I don't smell at all.
Yeah.
And then it comes back with a vengeance. So I'm only on day, this is day 4. I should have done it one today and I didn't because I was out of the house. But anyway, that's a long tangent to say I got here and she washed my hair, which is very lovely. Hey, thank you for that. And, my husband brought me my makeup. Yeah. And it's just
you look great.
We have to make a shirt that's just doing our best, with a little pocket or something.
Yep.
Would you buy it?
With the outline of someone in a messy bun.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
Oh, yeah.
But thanks for washing my hair.
How are you? I'm good. On the product thing, I think my Instagram currently, my little blurb says 80% crunchy, 20% hair product or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I will use whatever, a patch of dirt for deodorant, but I don't know. I've got to have hair product that works.
I mean, that's also your industry. If you show up and your hair looks disgusting, are people going to hire you to do their hair? I mean, probably yes.
Probably not though. I mean, not at first glance.
Yeah. But if you create it, I'll be a silent investor because I go to the store and let us just mention that definitely all of the apps that you scan, not all, Yuka, Healthy Living,
EWG,
Healthy Living is EWG, isn't it?
Is it?
It's
it is. You're right. It's the same. And then Think Dirty.
I don't know what Think Dirty. I never used that.
I don't know who's sold out, but
EWG definitely did because like I went to Walmart and I was like, okay, I'm just grabbing a couple things. I need some body soap because I'm currently out. Mm-hmm. I scanned with EWG and like a popular mainstream brand was like a good score, and I was like, what? Or it said not found. Like, but I scanned a whole bunch to see, and I'm like, it's not found, and it's on the Walmart store, and it's taking up like a shelf and a half. You're kidding? No.
Yeah.
So I think they sold out, and actually, I do remember hearing somewhere that they started accepting donations to remove people's products.
Really? Wait, EWG?
It was EWG.
Oh, jeez.
So,
and I don't know, but I don't know enough about Yuka, but I was getting annoyed because like all of the hair products I have in the salon, they still have the preservatives, but one of them is completely fragrance free. Just doesn't smell like anything. And it does have preservatives because mold, but then it's like, well, do I want a preservative or do I want mold? I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way, that scanned as not great, but Tresemme scans as perfect. And I know I'm a snobby hairstylist, but like I would rather use Castile soap than Tresemme. So, and not because of like the toxicity, just because it's like,
that's like what you buy off the Walmart shelf. So you can't have that in your,
no. So it's so crazy that something is weird.
Should,
and you know, they have preservatives, and like if you pop the cap open, the fragrance is so strong. So I'm like, why is this perfect?
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, if you guys are ever like, oh, they're so dramatic about the toxins in their life, or like, when you start to know as much as we know, you know that like someone's phone is buzzing.
I have gotten so many scam calls.
Put it on airplane mode, and it sends them a signal. Like swipe down, put it on airplane mode where your Wi-Fi and everything's off.
Okay.
And it sends them a signal that it's a dead phone number. Within 2 weeks, it'll be done.
And they're all from 505 numbers because I still have a 505 area code.
Yeah.
So I know it's a scam because no one calls me from New Mexico unless
their family.
Their family, and I already have them. Yeah. So it's really annoying.
On that note, have you seen the stuff where like the AI is so good that they can mimic your voice, and our voice is out there everywhere.
Yeah.
So if you ever get a call from the Under the Sun gals, it's not us.
Yeah. My family had a word. I already forgot what the word is. So
we have a word.
Like all of us.
We have a
forget.
phrase that I feel like needs refreshed.
Yeah.
But that's like, hey, like, okay, say this phrase if this is really, or say the phrase, our family phrase, if this is really you.
Yeah.
So it sounds crazy, but
you have to.
But you have to. But back to the healthy stuff. It's like, once you start pulling back the tape of like, oh, like the pharmaceutical industry, big farming and all this stuff, like nobody cares about your health.
No.
And so, these apps probably sold out because really for a big enough number, we would all sell out. Because if you're telling me I could retire my husband, myself, and my family onto a compound farm and not have to see anybody ever again.
Great.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
we would all do that.
Everybody
we would all
thinks they don't have a price, but everybody has a price.
Everybody has a price. Yep. Anyways, please make a product line that we can all love and trust. Right. Also, is your rock big enough?
Hey, thanks.
Jeez.
Also, I almost got ring avulsion the other day. Day before yesterday, and I am still bruised. So like I didn't wear them all day yesterday.
It makes like my ribs.
I know. I didn't even think that was a thing until I knew it was a thing. But I was we were cleaning out the garage, and I picked up a tote, and the garage has like the little shingles down, and I went to lift it, and I was like, ugh! And then I dropped the box, and now I have a little bruise.
Oh, geez. Why are you wearing your gargantuan diamonds?
Because I can't wear it to work because I like ding the shampoo bowl.
Would you just show it to your camera? It's bigger than my nipple. Do you want Just kidding. I've got a baby. They gargantuan.
Do you want to hear the story of my ring? This is your podcast. We should be talking about your birth, but
ring aversion?
No, the story of my ring in general.
What's
of how I got this ring?
Oh, I know.
So how many years? Almost 10 years ago when we were going to get married. Right about that time, my husband started a salon for me. And at the point that we were going to start the salon, he said, okay, I have a question. He said, I have money for a ring, or we can start a business. And I was like, start a business. I didn't care. I'm here to get married and live a life with this person, not walk around with a ring. So I'm like, whatever, we'll just get one later when the business is flourishing and successful. Then he's like, okay, we'll get you a ring on our 5-year anniversary. Well, our 5-year anniversary comes up, and which was 2019. And he said, okay, basically this space that we're in now came up for sale. He's like, okay, 5 years later, same question. Do you want a business or a ring? And I was like, business, we'll buy one later. And then there's a jewelry store nearby that wanted him to do some video work, and the budget that they had, he's like, I don't even load my car for that much money. And they said, what about a trade? He's like, you know what? Sure, I'll do this job. My wife can get like a necklace or something really nice. And then I went in and got a whole wedding set. So he's like, why? I was like, you don't have to pay for it. It's free. So I keep joking that I got my rings for free. And he keeps saying that was a lot of work on that job. And I was like, it was free. It's fine. So but we keep joking about it. But he liked it because the sentiment for him was, I was able to do something in my field and my craft and get my wife the exact set that we wouldn't have been able to get when we were young and starting a business.
She's stunning.
Thanks.
It's gorgeous.
She was free.
Yeah. I love that. Oh,
just don't get I wasn't even wearing the big one when I was cleaning the garage. The band, and it's still.
I want to put someday when I have so much time, I want to go through all of our podcasts and get every time I go, just cut it all together.
There was a lot in that birth one.
Yeah. Which birth one?
But I think both of my kids' ones.
Did
between
I go,
one or both of us.
Oh.
I would remember something and then go, huh.
Yeah. Well, because that's the feeling.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you've had a kid, do you guys feel like that's how? Let us know if that's how you feel. But anyways, we're going to talk about the one time I pushed a human out of my body.
That was a great day for me. It was a great day for you too, but maybe in a different way. It was.
I actually, so before we begin, if you want to watch my labor and delivery, it is on YouTube.
It's doing great.
It's almost to 1 million views.
That's amazing.
I mean, I say almost. I think it's like 974,000. So it's still still there. So go watch it so I can get 1 million, because I've never had 1 million views before.
Yay.
And I'm really grateful that it was that, because that was the most pivotal thing I've ever done in my whole life. The most important thing I've ever done in my life. Mm-hmm. And it was I've done a lot of things like performing and big stage, all the things. And I can downgrade all of those because I'm like, oh, I didn't get that. I didn't earn that. Jacob convinced somebody to let me open, or Dave convinced somebody to let me open, or
Yeah. But your skill set is why they said yes. They could have said that.
I know.
And shown a reel.
I know. But I never let myself win in my head. I'm always I always excuse it away.
Well, my only past 1 million viewed video on YouTube, my hair was purple. So in my brain, my hair's boring now. No one's going to care what I have to say. So I get, but
interesting.
Yeah. It's oh, that wasn't me. That was purple haired me.
But this one, but the birth, I'm literally I hired Libby to take photos and do video. And I was like, hey, you be there, film. And I was like, I'm going to give birth, and the outcome is what I'm just going to I'm going to post what it is for what it is. And I edited it. And so anyways, so there's 26 minutes of video. Yeah. And I put 1 minute for every hour I was in labor.
Oh, so I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So, I guess I think I want to start a little bit pre-birth because originally I was going to the birth center where you gave birth to both of your kids. Yeah. Great place. We need more birth centers.
Yes, we need
we need more options for women to, birth outside of hospital if they're not comfortable birthing at home. Yeah. Because home birth is not for everybody. Mm-mm. And that's okay. I think people maybe sometimes when I talk to them, I've had people apologize to me, because they know I've had a home birth. And oh, I'm sorry. I had a birth in a hospital. I'm like, what? I don't care. Why?
Birth your baby however you want to birth.
I was like, just because I think there's this belief that, oh, if you give birth at home, you're judgy for people who have hospital birth. I'm like, no, I just want you to get what you want. Yeah. And I know that sometimes the hospital doesn't do that. Yeah. And so I grieve that for you. I don't know, is this you're about to tell me a traumatic story. Yeah. Anyways, originally, so at 35 weeks, up until 35 weeks, I was going to give birth at the birth center, and it was a great place. Like I've kind of said in the past, I couldn't quite get them to align on my guest date. Mm-hmm. And I say guest date because it is a guess. Like we all like to say, nope, my guest date or my due date was the 25th. And if it's not out by the 25th, like let's induce. Yeah. It's like, well, every woman's cycle is different. Yeah. Every ovulation isn't exactly, day 8 like everybody else's. Yeah. Like it's we all have, some people have how long is your cycle?
Ovulation. It varies anywhere from, well, now it's kind of normal, but when we conceived Riker, they were anywhere from 30 to 45 days.
See, so like your guest date is probably not going to be accurate. Mm-hmm. And like my cycle at the time was like 28 days on the day. Yeah. And like every woman is different. Anyways, so I couldn't quite get them to align on the guest date. So, and I have always wanted a home birth. Mm-hmm. Dave was not comfortable. Like at the beginning, he was like, I'm not even sure if I'm comfortable with the birth center. I want to make sure like my wife is okay if something goes wrong. And then over the time.
What was it that got him to say yes to the birthing center?
I told him he didn't have a choice.
Okay.
Because, well,
did you guys
in
tour?
a kind
you toured
way.
It, right?
Yeah, we took a tour. And like, I was like, listen, I am not giving birth in the hospital. I was like, the birth center. And he thought it was a great middle ground because I was like, I wanted a home birth. And he was like, I'm not ready for that. Like, would you ever consider hospital? And I was like, no. And I was like, okay, well, then the only option is the birth center.
Yeah.
Great place. Not digging it, like downing it, but couldn't get them to line on my guest date. And I just had like this, like, like how you have like an intuition, I had like a buzzing of, I don't know if it's anxiety, but I was like, I can tell like even though someone at the birth center, like a midwife told me that because I was prone to UTIs, I would probably go early. Yeah. And even though I had never heard that in any of my research, nothing, I've never, and I've mentioned it to other midwives. They're like, what? Like, what are you talking about? So I think I was given false information. So in my brain, I was like, oh, I could go at 37 weeks, but like, also I'm worried about this. Like, I think it was my intuition of like, I'm a first time mom. Statistically, you go 41 and 3, I think. Most first time moms.
41 and 1, but past 41 for sure.
Past 41. Yep. And so I was like, well, I'm a first time mom. Like, and I'm afraid like their guest date put me as, like it was off. So I think theirs was like 4 days ahead. Behind? I can't remember now specifically. So it was like
behind because they would have risked you out.
Yes. Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember. But couldn't get them to align on that. And I just had like this feeling, this intuition. And as like literally I was pregnant, I was listening to podcasts every second I could, videos on YouTube every second I could about birth, like vlogs on birth. So Dave heard birth and all things birth related, like in the background.
Rusty actually would listen.
For 35 weeks. And I've actually had people ask me like, how did you get your husband to educate himself? Because like, it's just a fact. Husbands don't care about birth as much as we do. They care about their wife who's going to go through it. Right. But like, they're busy doing other things and like, he has other responsibilities. And that's like, that is my job to like research. Yeah. So if I like heard something particularly good on a podcast or on a YouTube video, I would screen record and like just the chunk I wanted him to hear.
That's a good idea.
And it would be like 60 seconds and I would send it to him via text and I would say, this is very important to me. Please listen to this. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. And like, he would listen, maybe not right away, maybe later on that night after work or whatever. But like, that's how I educated him. Or if there was a whole video that I was like, or a whole podcast, we were remodeling our basement at the time. So we would choose that while we were working, I was like, hey, like, I would really like you to listen to this episode. Yeah. And so that's how I educated him. So by the time we got to 35 weeks, and I told him I have anxiety about my guest date and I feel like I'm going to get risked out and then be in a whole debacle. Cause like, I was like, I'm not going to the hospital. Personally, I don't feel comfortable there. Yeah. And I worked in a hospital in case somebody doesn't know.
I do love that. You got that comment. Did you even work in a hospital? You're like, yeah, I did for a long time.
I did for a long time and it ruined it for me. And I had a stent in labor and delivery. Yeah. I had a stent in peds, NICU, all the things. So I hate disclaimers. It's not a disclaimer. I hate it.
Our button.
No, but like there are good nurses.
No, our allegedly button.
Oh, allegedly. Yes. I forgot it. I was already running so late. There are so many good nurses and I'm sure doctors, I never ran across one, but who like are wonderful. Like I know there are nurses that I encountered that I was like, oh yeah, I would trust my family member with you. I met more nurses though that I would not trust my family member with. Yeah. And so I go into that. I'm like, I don't want to like my brand new baby and all these hormones
Yeah.
and my husband to feel anxiety. So anyways, I was like, okay, I'm 35 weeks. I talked to my doula. I said, hey, I'm considering switching to a home birth. Any way you can send me like a list of local home birth midwives, and I can just see if they're available and just see. Let's just see if they're available. And so she sent me a list. I emailed all of them, and only one of them was available, and that was my my midwife, Brandy Roskoski. And so I met with her and worked out actually like a discounted price because I was like, hey, like I would be starting then at like 37 weeks, and you kind of be like getting the, you know, like the award for the end of the thing. There wouldn't be any like prenatals or anything. So, so she's like, yeah, like blah, blah, blah. Found out that like we would get basically a full reimbursement from the birth center besides like the prenatals appointments because we'd already paid it off by that point or almost. And, so then we switched and Dave was like way on board. He was like, okay, he's like, I've learned all this stuff. He's like, I think in my mind, and I'm repeating this because we just did a video on it on my personal YouTube channel of like, we rewatched her birth video and I had him like share things about it. And it's a very long video. It's like 54 minutes.
That's fun.
But he was like, I was uneducated and I thought like, I kind of thought of birth as a sickness that needed to be managed. And he was like, no, like you were designed to do it and birth works most of the time.
Yeah.
And especially if we leave it alone and don't interfere. So, we switched at 35 weeks to a home birth. And, you know, because of that little seed of, oh, you're going to go into labor early because you're prone to UTIs.
Yeah.
Like I was ready by 35 weeks. Like the whole house was, you know, like cleanish at least. And then all her stuff was unpacked and, you know, put away and washed. And then
a long 7 weeks.
And then 38 weeks, 39 weeks, 40, 41. And I think was it 40? It was that Friday I went into labor. Was the first time I had like cried of like, oh my gosh, like how long is this going to last? Because like you with Nova, I had some prodromal labor and I hate that word. Prodromal. I will always do that because I hate that word. But like every night, as I would go to bed, basically from 40 weeks on.
It's the worst.
And I think I was dehydrated because like water just, when you're so full of baby, a lot of water to me did not sound good. Yeah. And I'm very pro hydration, guys. Yeah. Like we both are.
I think I would rather maybe go from 0 to 60 because that false labor when you're like, tonight's the night. And then 2 weeks of that, you're like, all right, I don't even care if tonight's the night. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
So
it's hard.
Maybe you have to get to that not caring point though.
Yeah. I mean, I think I learned a lot from this labor. Maybe I'll share this at the end, but, lots of prodromal labor. I don't even know how long it lasted. I just remember every night, like I would start to like feel like tightenings and stirring and like uncomfort and like discomfort and had to like move around. And, that I used that time to like practice what I had been learning with hypnobirthing. And so that lasted for like 2 weeks. And so on that Friday, the 10th, it started again. And I'm sorry, the night before, the 9th, it started at night again. And I was like, this is it. This is it. I went to sleep, woke up and nothing. And like, I was kind of hoping and envisioning like, oh, like my water would break in the night. And then I would know like, this is like that's what I was hoping for. And it didn't happen. I woke up that morning and like did the first like cry I'd done like the whole pregnancy. I'm not much of a crier. And I don't like to cry in front of my husband, not because he's definitely sensitive and caring to my emotions. I'm just not a crier.
Just your personality.
I just don't like crying in front of people.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I like started crying because I was like I'm just so uncomfortable because my I had some like pelvic pain, like pelvic girdle, hip pain. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like I'm so uncomfortable. Like I just want my body to go into labor. Like, should I drink castor oil? Like I know that is not what I wanted because I wanted my body to do what it needed to do. But like when you're that pregnant, you're just trying to find answers and do things. So that Friday, after having a good cry and like having like just minor contractions all day long, we had a midwife appointment to do a stress test, non-stress test on Leora, who wasn't named at the time. And so like I had to like it's really great with doing home birth midwives because in case you don't know, like you show up to their house. Like I went to her house for this appointment. She put like a baby monitor thing on me. I laid on my side for a certain amount of time. Then I laid on my other side for a certain amount of time, and she was doing great. Blood pressure, all the stuff. Everything was good. And so my midwife was going out of town on Sunday. So this is Friday. And she was like, well, if I'm out of town, my backup will come. And for me, like I had curated this team, and I was very protective of my birth space because I was nervous. First time mom, I'm like, I don't know what this is going to look like. Am I going to be a biatch in labor? What is this going to be like?
Yeah.
And so I was really sad about the thought of her being out of town. And so had that appointment, went home, still had some like tightenings and, things or whatever. And, I should mention, like a week prior, I lost like a huge chunk of mucus plug. So I
forgot about that.
I did too, just to laugh, just in this moment. But like I thought, like, oh man, it's gonna happen. So if you're, let me help your soul. It doesn't matter if you're like you could still go 2 weeks over, like even if you lose your entire mucus plug.
Like any other wound, it'll just heal itself right over till it's ready.
Yeah, yeah, and I knew that, but like I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
Like
false excitement is the worst.
It is, and it's so discouraging in the moment. But I remember like texting Shannon saying like I lost some mucus plug and blah blah blah. Didn't matter, but I do have a photo on my phone of like the slime that I lost. And then there's no photos, and then there's me and my baby. So like I do have like the like, oh hey, like I think this Friday night, labor might lead somewhere. But
I remember texting Shannon that I lost some of my mucus plug too, and I remember her not seeming phased, and I was like, oh, like why doesn't she care that I lost my mucus plug? And now I realize because it does not matter.
Yeah, yeah. And so, like our doula has coached us that like, hey, like if you think you're in labor, still go about life. So, I didn't think it was labor. I was just defeated at that point. So like we ate dinner, watched, I think, some show. I think we were on an HGTV kick. I don't know. Watched some show, and then went to bed because I was like, okay, if this is it, like I want to go to bed early.
Yeah.
So we went at like 9:30 or 10, went to bed. And then like through the night, like when you're that girthy, you have to like, for me, like I wanted to be on all fours, but like you can only lay on your side when you're that whale-like. And so whenever it's got to the point where I was like, every time I had a surge, I would like get up on all fours. And we had started vlogging hours prior because I wanted that footage. I'm so glad I did.
Yeah. Me too.
So yeah, contracting. Dave kind of started tracking them a little bit, and then I was like, no, it's like stressing me out to like know if like something is coming. And so went to bed, and then I couldn't sleep any longer. And so I got up and started just like working with the surgeons, which when I have another baby, because it will be when, but like, I don't want to now.
Yeah.
I really hope it's a day labor. Like, because I feel like when I fell asleep, I never really woke up.
Okay.
I just felt like foggy, hazy the whole time. I don't think it was like tired. I literally felt like part of my brain didn't turn back on.
Labored in the day though.
You did?
I think that you did.
You got there at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
But like I had been up.
Babies also just like to come at night.
Do they?
Well, my water broke at 9:30 p.m. And then with Nova's, it kind of started at night. So yeah.
I just want to experience like.
And then when did our friend text you at 3:30 in the morning? So I think they just.
Well, Shannon, even in my birth video says, oh, it always happens at 2 in the morning. Yeah. It always happens. Like, okay.
What is it? She said if nobody texts her until 2, she knows she's going to sleep the rest of the night. So crazy.
It's wild. But I woke up, started, like working with my surges or whatever. And Dave had heard me like vocalizing. And so he ended up waking up to come like greet me. And I had been tracking. I remember this. It isn't in the video, but I had been like tracking it. And he like woke up and saw that I was tracking it. And based off of like the hour long, he was like, we should have called them a while ago. And I was like, stop. I was like, I'm fine. I'm just like, I'm working through it. I didn't want to call them.
Yeah.
And in hindsight,
I tried to come over anyways. I told Dave, I was like, let me just come over. I'll stay in the car. Partially because like I had it in my head too that once you started labor, it was going to be like 30 minutes. And I was like, Dave, I need to be I'll sleep in the car. I won't bother her. I'll sit in the driveway.
You slept in the house.
I don't want to like break your bubble. And then Dave was super protective of you too. He's like, no, she really doesn't want anyone or pressure on anyone. So I was like, okay, I'll be in my house. You just call me. So as soon as he called, I was like, I don't know. I don't drive fast. I drive like a grandma, and I flew because I'm like, she's going to have this kid in 30 minutes and no one's going to be there.
So I have a lot of
sweet because he was very protective of like what you wanted. And I thought that was really nice.
Yeah. He's the best. Anyway, so I called everybody in at 2:30 and like, I think there's a lot of things that maybe stalled my labor. In hindsight, and some things I'm not comfortable sharing. And I can share with you off camera. I think you've already heard them, but, so like everybody came at 2:30 and then came like the waves of intense where I'd be in the water and people say a water dural where like you get so calm. I didn't find that much relief.
I didn't either. It was just nice to.
It was just cozier.
I didn't per se find relief. It was just nice to not have to hold up my own body.
I think that's what it is. Because like I'd get in there, I'd be like, "Where's the dural part? Like this is not good. Like it's still not great."
Yeah.
But labored in the tub, outside the tub, on the toilet, in the bed, in the sunroom, walked the stairs, walked outside at one point. Yep. Hated that. And then like just like a lot of laboring. And this is like, I mean, I mentioned in the other video, but like it started when it was dark and then it got light and I was like, oh, that much time has passed. And then it started to get dark again. I was like, oh my God, that much time has passed. And it wasn't like super intense the whole time. Like there were parts where I was like taking naps and
you had like 20-minute breaks at one point, which I will dare to say, I bet that if you were in a hospital and they slowed down to 20 minutes, they would have just
they would have
crank it up. Let's go.
Yep.
So.
Because Dave had the perception of like, oh, the faster they get, that means the closer the baby is. So then like, so that you can like really quickly push it out.
Right.
When that's like most of the time, not how it works. Like birth is not linear and it's not the same for two people. So for me, like it was really intense for a while and then it kind of slowed down. It was really intense for a while and then slowed down. And, lots of naps and beef sticks that I threw up. And, you know, I remember Shannon saying that, like all the cameras probably stalled it. I don't, as someone who has been in front of cameras my whole life, I don't have, I think anxiety of tearing. I had a lot of stress about tearing. Yeah. And, I, even though like everybody who was there, like I paid them to be there, like, not you, sorry. I paid you in friendship.
Yes, you did.
Like I felt bad about everybody being there for so long. So like that like also was like causing me some stress and just some other things I won't repeat for a while. But it just stalled out a little bit and then 7:30 that night, a little girl, am I missing anything in between? I'd missed like a big part.
What?
Let me back up. So at like 12:30. So what's great about the birth video? Oh shoot! I meant to bring my chart because she gave me my chart of like
all the times you peed.
Yeah. So like of just everything, like when they checked my blood pressure, the baby's heart rate, everything that like they were charting the whole time. They gave that to me. So when you watch the video and the timestamps are really accurate because
that's awesome.
Like I had she gave me my chart.
Yeah.
So at like 12:30, I was like losing steam and I never thought I'd get a cervical exam because like they're not medically necessary. They kind of don't tell you anything, like really.
The amount of people, even when I wasn't in labor towards the end of both pregnancies who were like, oh, are you dilated? Have they checked you yet? And I'm like, I'm still here at work. No, they haven't checked me yet.
Also, stop talking about my cervix.
Right. But it's like, people thought I was the weird one because I didn't have any checks. The only time I think I got checked was way past 41 weeks. And because I needed some glimmer of something to like tell me what's going on. Yeah. But up to that, it wasn't like, no, at my weekly appointments, no one's checking anything.
Well, now they started at 37 weeks. They start checking because
start it faster.
Well, so there's a, conservative commentator that I really like that I'm not sure. I don't think you're very fond of her. Allie Stuckey. Allie Stuckey.
Oh yeah. I'm not disfond of her. I am at a point with life and business that I can't handle anything.
Additional stressors.
Kind of like an additional stressor. So if I'm on Instagram, it's like, look at this pretty hair. Look at this pretty outfit. And the second something becomes like emotional or political or anything. Even if I agree with it, I'm like, nope, get out of here. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Show me
okay.
pretty things. But
So she shared like her first birth story, which ended in a C-section.
Oh, wow.
And she was very open with it on Alex Clark. She's also another conservative commentaries podcast. And she shared that like at 37 weeks, they started checking her. And then at like the 38 week mark, the doctor said, well, your cervix just isn't participating. And she said that like that stuck in her brain that like my cervix doesn't participate.
Yeah.
My cervix is not
the
working.
words you speak are so...
Yeah.
Like that sticks and stones thing. Now as an adult, I hate that phrase because words can absolutely long-term stick.
Oh, for sure. And so anyways, with her story, she blah, blah, blah. At like 39 weeks, they're like, well, we should induce because like we don't like to see you go over 40 weeks. And so they put Cervidil on her cervix. And then like, I don't know, a certain amount of time after or whatever, the doctor came back in and he was like, wow, your cervix just isn't doing what I want it to do.
Oh no.
And
I have goosebumps.
She like
so mad.
She was like, oh, like Mike, she was like, I didn't know anything. She's like, I was
Yeah.
very trusting and I shouldn't have been, but she's like, I was very trusting. And she was like that. I let that take root and whatever. So I ended up in a C-section like unnecessarily. She's like, in hindsight, it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
We were poking the bear when it didn't need to be poked, you know? Anyways, why am I on that topic? Oh, cervical checks. So I didn't think I'd ever have cervical checks because I was like, I trust my body, but it had been a while. It was like 12 o'clock and I had been having contractions since like, I don't know, 6:30 the night before, like pretty consistently.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm tired. Like I'm exhausted. Like I need like a glimmer of hope that like
tell me some of this work is paying off.
Well, because they would be like, you're doing so good. I'm like, you don't know that. Like you don't know, like you hear these stories of like, oh, you have an incompetent cervix. It's like, that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Get a new doctor if they tell you that.
Yeah.
But so I needed a glimmer of hope. So she did a cervical check and I said, don't tell me if I'm anything under 7. 7? Is that right? 5?
I think so.
7. And she did a check and she was like, you're at a 9 and it's at 12:30, but you have a cervical lip. And I was like, okay. And so they made me, I cried then because I was like, oh good. Like at least like,
we're transition.
Past like all of this, like it should be over soon. Lol. And so they made me do some very terrible, uncomfortable positions to try to like push past that lip.
But you didn't hate the peanut.
I didn't hate the peanut at all.
Hated it.
It was like really, my hips were like damaged at one point. Like I need to also like, apparently like you hold a lot of emotional trauma in your hips.
Yeah.
And I think I need to do some work on that. Cause like I just hold a lot of tension in my hips. And I think maybe things would have been different if I would have like processed some childhood, like just stuff in general.
Yeah.
Anyways, so did some uncomfortable positions, got it to move, whatever. Hours and hours go by. 6:30 at night, I'm in the tub as after Shannon was like coaching me on the toilet for a long time. She kicked all the cameras out, all the people, and she rubbed a concoction of essential oils on my belly. And then like with every surge, she coached me through the contraction because like I got to the point where I was like fearing that it was coming because like it
you'd lock up.
They were intense and like my face would get all tense and I was just tired and I lost all like training I had like hypnobirthing out the window. But yet still in there, my logical mind was in there somewhere being like this is all good, but also like my primal mind was like, I get loud. So if you want to make your neighbors uncomfortable, just put it in the loudspeaker and just play it through. But so lots of laboring. She coached me through that. I can't remember if that's before or after. I'd have to check, but I get back in the tub and I'm just still laboring. And I ask my midwife again, I'm like, hey, will you check me again? Cause like, make sure that lip moved. Cause like I'm losing steam and encouragement and all the things. And so she checked me and, she was like, oh yeah, like, cause you can be 10 centimeters and the baby could still be way up in your birth canal, like, or way up there. It doesn't mean it's like, cause it's 10
centimeters. It's time. Go.
It's not time to push. Like, I mean, that's why they say like, your 10 centimeters -3 or whatever. I don't know the proper terms, but like that means like, oh, like -2, that means like it's closer down, like down the birth canal. There's some type of like graph. You can look it up.
Yeah.
But she was like right there. She's like, oh, like she's barely inside. I can feel her. Like, she's like, can I feel it with a contraction to make sure that like that vaginal wall is moving out of the way? And at that, like prior to that, she was like, someone said, I think Shannon said like, this isn't going to last forever. And then I like broke down crying because I was like, I thought I would be stronger than this because I'm very strong-willed.
That made me cry. When you said that, I was in the corner like bawling my eyes out. I was like,
every time I watch that, it takes me back because like, you know, like I thought you always think you can out-educate yourself outwill, like, oh, I'm not like everybody else. Like, I'll be, for some reason, be the exception. How narcissistic is that? That I always think like you know,
labor's going to be a breeze for me.
Well,
I'm so, but I thought the same thing. And
I didn't even think a breeze. I said, I'll be able to be stronger than the people who complain about it or whatever.
Yeah.
And not complain, but like properly represent that it is a difficult task to do.
Right.
Worth it.
Yes.
But difficult.
Yes.
And like someone said like, it's not going to last forever. And I was like, oh, I thought I was stronger than this. And then they were like, oh, like you are so strong. And that's like, it's not going to last forever. And then Brandy said like, it has to bring you to your breaking point. And I was like, I would have like let go a lot sooner if I knew that. I would have like just like let the tears flow.
Yeah.
But like that is her birth story that like I had to like let go. But that's like probably my favorite scene because like it's scene.
Yeah.
I'm an editor. I have to talk that way. But because like I did not know you were filming. I did not know Libby was filming because there's like 3 angles she has because everyone thought I was going to be pushing a baby out anytime soon.
Yeah.
And so there was 3 angles of that and I didn't realize anyone was filming. I thought it was just me, Brandy, Dave, and Shannon in the room. And like, I don't like being vulnerable in front of people.
Yeah.
Even like the people I, you know, hired to be there to see me. I'm my most vulnerable, but like to like crack the shell of, I don't know, of pride, I guess, and going into labor, thinking that I could control it and manage it, was, I don't know, therapeutic because it did what it did. Because like, I think that emotional release, Leo was born 1 hour later, after some loud roars, loud roars. she was born in her sack, and Dave always joked because Dave and I both have big butts. And so he was like, oh, she's not going to have shoulder dystocia. She's going to have hip dystocia or butt dystocia. And like her head popped out and like her body came out, but then she was hung up at the hips for like a second. And like you can see in I think it's in the video, right? No, I didn't put it in because Dave, I would get demonetized.
Like, it's in the video. Never mind. It's in my brains video.
Well, you do have that angle.
Yep.
I will share it on Instagram because I won't share it on because I will get demonetized.
Yeah,
and that makes me money and I need to eat.
Yes.
And my kid needs to eat, but I'll share that clip of like she comes out and like she's hung up at the hips for a second and then she like pops out and then Dave, my husband, is in the tub with me, and I should mention he's been with me the whole time. Like he was there doing counter pressure. Even though he was like, I thought I was going to break your hips because you were asking for so much counter pressure. But she pops out.
I don't doubt there's any guys listening to this point. But if you are a guy, you are not going to break her hips. Just push harder.
Yeah. We were talking like, is the counter pressure that like your hips aren't used to spreading that much? So like pushing in relieves the muscles? What is that feels good? Because like you're probably pinching the kid's
head. Do you
head.
also remember squeezing that comb?
Yes.
So there's also something, I faintly tried it in my birth, but then I would get distracted just because my nails, like stabbing myself with my nails. But there's something that I read once that said your brain can't focus on 2 points of pain. So like if I stub my toe, sometimes I'll pinch my arm because it like lessens the toe pain because your brain is trying to split signals on that. So I don't know if it's like, maybe it hurts and we don't know. Maybe we are getting bruised, but it's like splitting the signal of like, oh, going out this way is not hurting because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it is the pressure.
But
I really don't
forgot about that Shannon gave me combs to like squeeze. Because I was having a hard time. Like it was, I mean, you know, it's just uncomfortable. And in hindsight, the girl had a big head.
Large head.
Very large head.
Very cute.
So I can still feel it going out.
That's the other thing I can like.
It makes like my armpits are sweating.
But when someone talks about, oh yeah, when the baby came out the canal, then I'm like, oh, you can remember like that scrape almost of their noggin.
Yeah. Whew, I'm sweaty.
But I'd still do it again right now.
I mean, for Leo, I would do that again.
Well, that's something I was going to say earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt your train of thought. I think part of it is with the second births going so smoothly. And we just had a friend who had her second, whose baby was born seamlessly, very fast. There's no fear to like let go of, I guess. Like there's fear going into it, but once you're in the middle of it, there's something that's like, oh, I don't have to run away from this pain because I know
survived.
It will come. Yeah, I survived and I'll just like dive right in. So instead of like tensing from the pain, it's a lot easier to just let it happen.
And maybe because like your first birth was really intense, her first birth was really intense, mine was really intense. I mean, I don't think you can avoid that. It's an experience.
Determined on the next one to have not like a laughing labor, but like I want one of those. Like, I don't care if I'm loud, but like a silent, happy, like ploops out. I catch it. We'll see. I'm going to try. And if not, if I
She's
scream.
going to give birth in my kitchen.
Yes, I am. If I yell the whole time, that's fine too. But I was like, I just want to try to like, since I had the second birth and I'm not as afraid to like lean into the pain now, it's a goal. But maybe your second will just.
I'm literally going in that it's going to be just as long, if not longer, because when I make my mind up that like, oh, like I'm going to go at 37 weeks. Yeah. I didn't. Anyways, but she came out and praised the Lord because like I had that like fog haze the whole time. Like I do not remember fully coming to consciousness like ever. Like even in my like breakdown in the tub or breakdown on the bed after my cervical checks, like I still remember just being like almost in a dream-like state. Yeah. So when she was like, I could tell like she was coming, I had no choice. Like my body was like, get this kid out. Like it was the fetal ejection. Like my body, like the sounds I was making, Dave was like, I've never heard sounds like this. And so she was, like I could tell she was coming out, and praise the Lord. Like if I talk about it in like lens speak, so you've seen like where a photo is out of focus, it's very blurry. It was like all of a sudden my like lens got turned into focus and I could see like Dave's hands like in the water and like a baby's head just like plop out past my like big, and I was like, oh, what? Like, and like
there's a baby here.
Yeah. And it's like, you're pregnant for a super long time. You're prepping for birth, but then to actually see it in person of like, there's a person coming out of my lady bits. Like it's surreal. Yeah. And she was hung up at the hips for a little bit, and then like I'm talking seconds. Yeah. And then came out, and she like at some point in that process, her sac had broke because like her head was out. And it wasn't broken. Right. Yeah. Her whole head was out. So it was when the hip part came through is when it ruptured the rest of the way. And then like Dave turned her, and then the midwife kind of got her hands in there to like pull the sac off of her face. Like we have that scene and like great photos of it on my Instagram. And like pulled the sac off of her face, and then like I pulled her to my chest, and it was just the best. Yeah. Like the best. I remember like pulling her to my chest and like wanting her skin to be on my skin and not on my bra. Yeah. And then be like, oh, she's okay. She hasn't like, cause they're not all babies cry right away. Like there are signs that like, okay, if like the baby's purple, we need to do, certain things. But pull her to
chest. You do not need to slap a newborn baby.
I just had the desire to like take my bra off and like put her on my chest. Yeah. That's all I wanted to do. But man, like that high, you can't explain it.
You can't.
Like the high I felt, and like it was like people were talking and saying like, "Oh, congratulations, she's beautiful." Like as I watched the video back now, could not hear a thing. All I could hear was like, Dave be like, "Oh, good job, babe," and I like that's
the bug I landed on. Scared me. Continue.
Like that's all I could hear was like him be like, "Oh, good job, babe," and I was like, it was like I just kept looking at her, and then I'd look at him, and like. Dave, being the wonderful, beautiful soul he is, he's crying, and like I didn't cry when she came out, which I thought I would, but I'm also I'm not much of a crier, and just like the cuddles were just the best, and we did like delayed cord clamping. We sat in the water for a long time. Like what's in the video does not even cover. Like I bet we were I don't know how long we were in there, but probably
it was a while.
And she was, on my chest. Technically, we had never, we didn't decide a name. Like we were like, oh, we're leaning towards Leora, and we have like 2 others. Just in case she comes out, and we're like, yeah, she's definitely one of these. And she came out and like whatever, we were kind of like basking in the glory. I apologize to everybody that it had taken so long. I still feel bad.
We were here for it.
Like if we could have financially afforded it, I would have sent like bonuses to all the people we hired, but like we couldn't.
Yeah.
So I'm holding, like I remember like the first like kiss in her cheek because like and she just smelled so good.
Oh yes.
But like I can't even distinct the smell that she smelled, but she smelled so good. Anyways, no vernix, but she was she had a 15-inch head. So 13 is considered normal, 14 is considered large. She had a 15-inch head. I think that delayed things.
Yeah.
Because she was big. She was also, before she pooped like 5 times. Remember we got out, she pooped in the tub, pooped on me, pooped in the bed. Like, so before she got weighed, she pooped 2 or 3 times, a lot of meconium. Thank you for not pooping before that. And so before that, she was 9 pounds, 10 ounces. So big girl.
Yeah.
And then 22 inches long, 21. I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
And so I think her head made it slow down fear of tearing, which it sucks.
Yeah.
I chose to not get stitches. I had a second-degree tear. You do your own research on this, but like I communicated, or my midwife communicated with me of like, hey, where the tear is, it would actually just be better to not put a stitch because it will just naturally want to go together. We'll keep an eye on it. But I was like, I'd rather not get stitches because sometimes like stitches just don't heal together correctly. And then I had like a slight like skid mark is what she called it on the inside of my vag.
Woo.
That hurt more than the rip.
Yep. The first pee.
That wasn't that bad.
Mine burned. But with Riker, it didn't burn with Nova, but with Riker, she didn't tell me what degree I was, and I'm actually kind of grateful because I don't know. But I did have to have a handful of stitches. Yeah. But with him, I said, and not to take over your episode.
No, please.
But when I was in labor with him, I did not care. I did not care if I ripped front to back. I was like, get him out now. I can't. I'm going to die.
Yeah.
So she didn't tell me. I don't think it was into a 4th. So it was either 2nd or 3rd.
I feel like it was 2nd.
She didn't tell me, and I'm glad. I'm glad that I don't actually know. But that first pee from that was horrible.
Well, maybe it's because you had said that, and I've heard it so much that like
you were braced
I had
for
2 Perry bottles ready to go.
Yeah.
Like I was like, and man, I'm just now remembering because I have not lived this in a long time. But like for reference, Dave and I have, prior to Leo, we have never peed in front of each other.
Yeah.
And like, I was like I was like, we have to keep these things separate and sacred. But I did not think through is like when you have a home birth and you're kind of unstable and like someone has to like walk you from the tub to the bed and then from the bed to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like I remember the midwife and doula saying like, hey, like she might be woozy, whatever, like just keep an eye on her on the toilet for the first couple of days or whatever. Yeah. And so like Dave would just sit there as I peed, but like it doesn't,
you just don't care though.
You don't care after that.
It's not like, ew, you're watching me pee. It's like, you're here to make sure I don't pass out because the baby needs me to be alive right now.
Yeah. And like, I just pushed out a human in front of him and probably pooped in the tub. I'm assuming. Yeah. You remember? Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
and they just didn't say, they would just scoop it and go and you carry on and
it just happens. You can't, I mean, if a baby's pushing against that, like you can't not. Anyways, what were we talking about? I got distracted.
Fear of tearing.
Oh yeah. I had a fear of tearing. It sucked, but I just had like 2 Perry bottles. Yeah. And that like Mother's Earth spray, we should put it in our Amazon storefront.
I forgot to put that. I kind of forgot about that in general.
Yep. That worked really well.
There's these, for those of you that don't know, there's like a postpartum thing you can
healing
sit,
recovery.
like do sitz bath, but like nobody who wants to sit on the toilet for 20 minutes. Nobody. But there is a brand of sitz bath spray that I went through 2 bottles, I think each kid. And that's like the one gift.
That's about what I did.
That's the one gift I give for like every shower.
Yeah.
Is that spray. Because you don't have to sit in this like uncomfortable toilet bowl thing.
Yeah.
Just spray it on. Works. I am the worst with this table and this microphone.
That's fine.
You spray it on. It works for hemorrhoids too. So
yeah,
that is the number one thing.
Lovely. Yeah. And like I had 2 Perry bottles. One of them was angled. One of them was regular. I didn't really care about the difference, but that was fine. And like I had been taking magnesium to like, sorry to be gross, guys, but like to keep my stools soft so that, because I knew postpartum poop, that's what everyone says, like, oh, the first poop is like the worst, whatever. So I had like I've been having some magnesium oxide. And so I was fine for the first week, but man, and then I stopped.
Oh, no.
And then after that was the worst.
Oh, no.
Because like what should be normal is actually feels like a brick.
Yeah.
Because you have lesions down there. But anyways, everything was hunky dory. Stayed home. Didn't take her to her first, well visit, doctor's appointment, whatever, for almost 3 weeks, which was awesome. But like, what is amazing about home birth is that like I gave birth in the tub, walked to the bed, and did not leave that room for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
A week.
Yeah.
I was basically in there all the time. And like the midwife came then 24 hours later to check on Leo, check on me.
Yeah.
Like asked about, like did all the things.
That is the one thing I'm excited for, because waiting for that 24-hour mark was so annoying to me.
Yeah.
For no other reason than I just wanted to go home and be home.
Yeah. Yeah. And you had like a long drive too to get there. That was so good. And then I think 3 days after, there's a phone call. And like we can, for the first 6 weeks after, we can call her for anything at any time of day. Like she's still on call for us. She's our doctor like in that time. But everything was great. We just relaxed it, like did skin to skin, didn't have visitors for like a week, which was awesome. And just like, I was not on my phone. I was just like staring at my kid. Yeah. And it was awesome. And like, blessed that Dave had time off of work to where he could just, like, honestly, he could be focused on taking care of us while I took care of her and learned her and became her expert and was focused on breastfeeding. And breastfeeding has been awesome and had its hard spots, but I mean, I don't think parenthood is perfect, but
it's the best.
It is the best. And like, even though like it was really hard, like it's so weird, but it's so worth it. Yeah. And like, even though right now I'm like, oh, like we don't have the bandwidth to have another child, even though it would take 9 months to get it here. I was like, someday we will do it again. And it's all right, but you'll be there again.
Works for me. We literally had the conversation last night, and it wasn't even me that brought it up. Jake's like, what are we supposed to do for the next one? I was like, oh, we're having an Aileeah's kid. Like, it didn't even question it. And he's like, that's going to be weird. I'm like, no, it's not.
No, it's not. So. Dave will be like literally working. He'll be like, whatever. Like, this is like how it sounds in the house anyways, because I was so, but it is funny. I like stopped caring about birth for a little while. Like, because you're not about to go do it. So like, I just kind of stopped, and I've been obsessed with birth for years. So
even after the second one though, I didn't read anything, didn't do anything, but I was also chasing a 1-year-old around. So it's like, you just have to learn all you can for that first time. And then after that, they'll just pop out. Yeah.
Or if it didn't go to plan, you need to dive in. Like if like, because unfortunately, like I just talked to a mom today. So like I do birth videography and photography on the side and stuff. And I just talked to a mom today, and she was like, oh, like she has a couple of kids, and the first one was a hospital and didn't enjoy that. Her second one was a home birth, and she's like, and this one's also a home birth. And so like, and I was like, oh, that's great. Like I love home births. I love documenting them. I was like, I actually had a home birth myself. She's like, oh, how many kids do you have? And I said, 1. And she's like, you did it on your first? And I was like, listen, I'm old. Like I had my first kid at 29. Like that's older. And I was like, I knew, like I've heard every scenario. I've seen, I've all my friends, sisters, I've been to births. Like I've seen it. And I know what I want, and I've worked there. I don't want that. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm really grateful. Love the experience, and that I got to, I don't know, have a physiologic birth. Like there's a point in her birth video where like the team had just been called in, and Brandy is doing a Doppler on my belly, which was actually the first time I had audibly heard her heartbeat. Because you can do your own research on this. Maybe we'll do an episode on it. I only had 1 sonogram in pregnancy. I had the 20-week ultrasound, and that was it. Yeah. And then we always use the fetoscope because there's just not enough research to show that like the sonograms don't cause issues. Yeah. And so I always I ordered my own fetoscope, and I would listen to her through it at home, not with a Doppler. So that was the first time like I had actually heard her heartbeat like through a Doppler. Anyways, so she's getting that Doppler, the heart rate, and I'm like, ooh, I got my dream birth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, technically I hadn't done it yet, but I got my dream birth team. But like, I loved my optimism of like, oh yeah, I'm getting it. Like there is no option. Like it's going to happen, which is, it did, but.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. Thanks for being there. Anything you want to add that?
I will say also, the way your master bedroom is set up in your bathroom.
It was, yeah.
It was perfect. However, I did laugh because after you were in the bed holding Leo and Dave's like, I'm just going to hop in the shower, and there's still cameras everywhere. Dave's just in the shower with the door open. I was laughing so hard.
He took a shower?
Yeah, he took a shower right after. Like got out of the tub. He's like, I'm just going to hop in here. I think you were even, I don't even know if you had your placenta. He was in the shower. All of us were just hanging out in there, and he's like, can someone grab me a towel? So I had to go get him a clean towel.
Shut up.
I just had not in the footage. He showered right after. I think he got out of the tub, went in the shower, stripped off his clothes, showered. It was really quick, but yeah, he showered. You didn't know that?
No.
But I did
in hindsight,
I was like, even Dave has like that postpartum, whatever. Who cares who's in here? I'm just going to shower really quick.
Okay. So then
I think Shannon, I have a foggy memory of Shannon's, still standing in the bathroom while like he's just showering. I mean, it was like a frosted glass door, right?
yeah,
so
it was frosted. But you could see like a butt outline. Like, gosh dang it, Dave.
So yeah, Dave showered. He was nice and clean by the time he laid in bed with you and the baby.
Well, probably because he wanted to do skin to skin too. And in hindsight, like the photos of this makes so much more sense now. Okay, so in the photos of Dave doing skin to skin the first time and some of the footage, Dave's hair's wet. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I was like, was he like getting like goggle shots? Like, did we have a GoPro angle that I missed? Like, that makes so much more sense. Also, he shouldn't be naked in front of all of our friends and birth team. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's great to know.
It was hilarious.
I'm going to give him crap when I get home. Yeah. And like, honestly, like I like the ending to the video where like we do the thank yous and like you really just filled in the gaps with like, you ordered food and Dave even said in that video, he's like, you were a host at times when he was busy with me and like showing people where to get stuff and whatever. And like filming and helping with counter pressure and encouragement, all the things, probably lots of things we didn't even see. So appreciate you. Appreciate
it's so hard to know how to be there for. You were wonderful, but I didn't know what I needed because neither one of us had been in that position yet.
Yeah. I'm excited to do it again.
Know what to ask for, I guess.
For you.
Yeah.
Because like I'm educated on birth. I would say even for Nova, I wasn't in that season yet.
Yeah.
And I would watch birth videos, but I would watch a lot of like hospital birth vlogs.
Yeah. And you were at my last one where it was,
I
mean, it still went how I wanted it to, but it was.
Yeah. I'm excited
for stress,
a
little trauma. So
yeah. Are we going to have cruise babies?
Yes.
I am supposed to be ovulating on my cruise, but we're not going to.
I need to check that.
Check when
listen, the Daisy makes me real nervous. So I said it on the record, and I'm saying it on this record, that if we get pregnant, I have not done it on purpose.
Oh, okay.
And I made him download the like partner app so he could see. And I'm like, this is if we get pregnant, because I ovulate later in my cycle. But according to Daisy, it's right in the middle. And I'm like, that has historically not been true. So I told my husband in person, and I'm saying it on the record, if we get pregnant, it is not on purpose. He has the partner app and he can see it. I'm just very hesitant to trust the Daisy.
Yeah.
Full force.
Maybe people don't know what the Daisy is. Oh, we should do a natural birth control.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. We're going to do a birth control episode. And then we're going to talk
unless
stats.
I accidentally get pregnant and then.
Well, but here's the thing. They say like if you have irregular cycles, like you should work on that to where it's a little bit more.
Right.
Because it can only be so accurate if
I mean, now they're between 30 and 33, 34 max. So they're like better, but.
Is it because you're doing your thyroid pack?
Maybe. But historically, I'm a late ovulator. So
I'm a late ovulator. I need that. That's funny. But yeah, that's.
So now all that to say, I'm going to have to forward look at the cruise and see where I'm going to be.
I don't think so. But
I would do it.
I don't know. It depends.
I would have already gotten pregnant, but that's one of those things where you need to be on the same page as your partner.
Yeah.
Because this is a human life. You both need to be in the same boat.
No pun intended.
I'm just glad that now I'm not the one bringing up the conversation because that means we're a little bit closer.
So that's
being in that same orbit.
Yes. So Dave and I, before we got pregnant, there was lots of conversations where like, I don't know if anybody's ever felt this, and I'll probably make this a short.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anybody's ever felt this, that like, not anybody. I don't know if any woman has ever felt this.
Yeah.
But like, if you're married and you're with your partner and you're not trying to get pregnant, I remember being sad when I get my period.
Yeah.
And
it
even though
still
I
happens to me today.
was doing Daisy, and I knew like we were being very careful and using the proper precautions.
Mm-hmm.
But like I remember being sad when my period came and being like, my uterus feels empty and I feel sad. And I would get mad at Dave because then I'd have my
like a weird subconscious,
but not because it made sense.
Yeah.
Like we were not trying to have a baby, and like he was actively not trying to impregnate me. But like I remember being frustrated, Dave, because I don't know why.
Even
it's
the first
it's
few
not logical.
It's postpartum for me.
Really?
I would be sad, and I'm like, I have like an 11-month-old. I don't want to be pregnant right now, but it's like this just feeling of sadness.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird. But like, I don't have that right now. So I don't think that's a problem. But like, there's been a couple times where David said like, oh, Leo needs a brother. And sometimes I'm like, and then sometimes like, oh yeah, she does need a little brother. But like, it depends. And I want us like Leo. It was very much like, sometimes I'd be like, I just want a baby and I feel empty inside. Like, I feel like this is what we need to do. And he'd be like, I'm not ready. Like, we have to do blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, he's a guy. He's like he said on the podcast, he wanted to be more financially stable.
Yeah.
Have the kids. Like, you will figure it out.
Because the kid's going to eat off the boob. And as long as you have enough money to feed yourself, you have at least a year.
Yeah.
Then they'll eat for a year and then they'll get real picky for 2. So you really only have to feed him from 1 to 2. And the rest of the time, you're good.
I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. Leo's such a good eater.
Yeah.
Like whatever we eat, she eats.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But we'll see. But yeah, so like I also want to be on the same page with Dave, because we also just bought a fixer-upper house. It's a homestead that like I want a big garden next year. Not that kids, they do not ruin that. I want to make that clear. We want to like love another child again at some point.
Yes.
It just, I would be girthy around planting season. Honestly.
Yeah.
And then I would have a newborn. It's like, okay, how would I harvest? How would I trim back leaves? You know, like it's just weird things to think about.
You have people for that.
I don't have people for that. What are you talking about? Who's going to?
You would let people help you with things.
I want to get better with that.
Yeah.
So.
Good. Because I will say, I think I bought dinner one of the 2 times we ordered in food. And then like 10 minutes after the food came, Dave Venmoed me. I was like, Dave, let me buy dinner. So.
Yeah. I think we want to get better with that with people within our circle.
Yeah.
Just because like, it says something like we would, if you called me, either of us at any time of the night, like, we would all be there.
Yeah.
And at the drop of a hat. Why is it that like, we don't want to inconvenience people? Yeah. And that's all it is. It's like, oh, we don't want to be an inconvenience to people.
Yeah.
That's weird. Anyways, great birth.
Yes.
Love my kid. Took a long time. Dave and I did have, I feel like a little bit of like, we were on this super big high, and then we did have a little bit, like I think we were just traumatized a little from the long birth.
Yeah.
And like, Dave was like, the sounds you were making, like, he's like, it's just weird and primal to see your wife in that state. Yeah. He's like, I think I was a little bit in shock for like a couple months after. I think
it is not, I don't think. One of my favorite shots of Dave is when you were in the tub and he's behind you doing counter pressure. And you're not watching, sorry. You're here. Dave's here. I'm here with the camera. So I'm getting like a little bit of both of you, but it was really focused on Dave. And you're just like, when is this going to be over? And he's just like, he's got like tears. He's silent and he's like tears pouring down his face. And he's like, whatever he said to encourage you didn't matter, but he like pouring. Oh, it makes me cry every time. Just like silent tears because he's trying to encourage you and not, he's crying. But that was my favorite shot of your whole birth.
It didn't make it in the video.
I don't remember.
The thing is,
but I was like, this is a good shot. Dave's crying. Let me just focus.
Yeah.
But also, it was a beautiful moment.
Oh, I love that. But the thing is, I didn't notice he was crying.
Yeah.
Because like I was crying. Yeah. I was like, so like introspective.
And I don't think he wanted you to know that he was crying. So.
Oh, baby.
It was so sweet.
Here's the thing though. There's so much in that video that isn't shown because it's not just 26 hours of filming. I mean, it was technically 20 hours you were there because you guys came at 2:30. Well, what's that? 2:30. And then you guys stayed after. You guys were there for a long time. Yeah. But there was 3 camera angles.
Yeah.
Or 3 different cameras that like each had basically a whole bunch of footage on it. So there was way more than 26 hours of footage. Like it was, it took days to go through that and organize that. And I got to the point where I was just like, okay, I'm going by timestamps to try to like move this along. So I was just so excited to share it. Like, I didn't color grade it at all.
Video.
I should have color graded it. What? I might repost it someday.
Post it. It's good.
I might I'll keep it up. I might like repost like maybe a 10-minute version or something that's actually color graded. Cause like I was just so excited in that like postpartum high. I'm like, I want everybody to see. It's all like in raw.
It's a beautiful video.
Thanks. I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of my kid. And man, it's a love like no other. And I hated it before I had kids when people were like, oh, you don't know love until you've had a baby. Yeah. And I was like, I hate you. And that's annoying because I love my family. I love my sister-in-law. I love my brother. I love everybody. It's just so different. Yeah. It's so primal. And like, I remember a couple hours, like after everyone had left, maybe it was the next day or whatever, I had Leo and Dave was holding her and he was like, what do you want? Like, you want a car? I'll get you a car. Like, you want to go to the moon? I'll take you there. Like, it was just like, and I was just like we were so much in that first week postpartum, we were crying tears of joy. Yeah. And I would just want that for everybody. Like, I mean, it had its hard parts, like where like, latch wasn't good or whatever, like had the struggles, but like it makes you appreciate the good times that much more.
Yeah. And the bad times do fade away.
Yeah, they do. It's a small season.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Because I never want to tell someone who's asking me questions about birth is wonderful. And then they go in not prepared. Yeah. And some people go in saying, birth is horrible. This will happen. Thankfully, I tend to remember the wonderful sides. Yeah. So I have to be cautious not to tell someone like, hey, this is going to be really hard. You need to prepare a little bit. Yeah. But I am grateful that I only remember that it was wonderful.
Yeah. You hear so many negative stories when you're pregnant. Of like, oh, you're going to try for a birth center birth. I heard a friend of a friend that did this. And like, that does nobody any good.
And they got in a car wreck and they died. Oh, man. But yes, you do hear the same story over and over.
Over and over again. And it's like, that's not helping. So like, but it lives there in your brain. Even though it's not your story, someone else's story like lives in their brain. So like I try to, for me, I only ever heard negative stories. So I try to talk about parenthood and birth and pregnancy positively, but still say like, yeah, it got real and it was hard. Yeah. Totally worth it. And like, you can do hard things. Yeah. So, wow, I talked a long time.
And you thought you were going to be able to fill a 20-minute episode. I knew you would.
I love my kid and I loved my birth, her birth. Cause like, it's truly, there's a scene and where Shannon goes, happy birthday. And like rubs Dave's arm. Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah. Like we are not the same people we were prior to our daughter being born. Yep. Like, what did we talk about? Now when she's napping, we come down and I'm like, she did this random thing. Yeah. We like, what did we talk about before?
And you always say, like when people go on dates and it's like, I am not going to be one of those people that talk about my kid. And you just do. And you're not even sad about it.
No. Because then you're usually laughing at them because they're weirdos like you. And it's like, oh man, they got this weird trait from you. Yep. Anyways, I love it. I love birth. So hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was a wonderful story.
Yeah. We'll see if we all have cruise babies. We'll get back to you.
I'm in.
I don't know. I'm not in yet. That's what she said. Okay. All right. Any parting thoughts?
No.
No? Okay. Bye, guys. We'll see you on the next episode of Under the Sun.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for being with us today. Follow us on Instagram at underthesun_podcast. We'd love to meet you.
Please help us out by subscribing on YouTube and leaving a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time. Please remember this information is made available to you for informational and educational purposes only. It is in no way a substitute for medical advice.